Hello, and welcome to Essential Alchemy. Alchemy is defined as the power or process that changes or transforms something in a mysterious or impressive way. My hope is that the information in this podcast can help you transform your mood, your energy, physical health, or even connect some dots to help you shift your mental or emotional state. I'm your host, Jodi Cohen, a best-selling author, award-winning journalist, functional practitioner, lifelong learner, and founder of Vibrant Blue Oils, a company that sells proprietary blends of high-quality organic or wild-crafted essential oil remedies designed to help you return to your ideal mental, physical, and emotional state. You can find out more about me and my company at vibrantblueoils.com. And with that, let's get started with today's episode. Hi, I'm Jodi Cohn, your host, and I'm so excited to share my dear friend, Dr. Trevor Cates, who is the author of the USA Today and Amazon bestselling book, Clean Skin from Within. And she just is launching a new book. Go ahead and hold it up.
Oh, it's right here. Natural Beauty Reset.
Natural Beauty Reset, which is going to be available everywhere very soon. We're going to talk all about that. Um, Trevor received her medical degree from the National University of Natural Medicine and was the first woman licensed as a naturopathic doctor in the state of California. That's impressive.
Thank you.
Very impressive. She currently lives in Park City, Utah, where she helps patients from around the world with a focus on skin and hormones. She's been featured on various TV shows, including The Doctors and Extra TV. She's interviewed over 250 experts on the Spa Doctor podcast and hosted her own PBS special, Younger Skin from Within. So let's dive into your 7-day program to harmonize hormones and restore radiance.
Yeah.
Tell me a little bit about how did you kind of pick this topic?
Yeah, well, my last book, Clean Skin from Within, came out about 5 years ago, and it was a USA Today bestseller. Amazon hit number one on Amazon in a couple of categories and all of that good stuff. Did well, but what I noticed is people, especially women, kept asking me about their hormones because I touch on hormones briefly in the book, but they're so complex, and especially for women because they change throughout our lives, even throughout the day and the month. So,
Yeah.
there were a lot of questions about that. So I wanted to really dive into it in this book, and then also give women an understanding of how to reset and how to do a 7-day reset for each season, because each season, summer, winter, fall, spring, these seasons, they give us an opportunity to get back in harmony, back in touch with our body's innate ability to heal. And a lot of times our lifestyle choices cause us to be disconnected from these natural rhythms.
I love that. I love that. So walk us through kind of the book and your approach to, is this primarily for older women, for younger women, for all ages and stages?
Yeah, it's really for women of all ages, and I think it's particularly important for women to who know that they're going to be going through certain transitions. So really, this is all of us because
Yeah.
transitions of for young people, of course, that's puberty. I don't know that there are going to be a lot of teenagers reading this book, but it is an interesting time, right? And then also fertility when women are trying to get pregnant, and also pregnancy, postpartum, and menopause. These are major transitions in our lives, and I think a lot of times we don't realize that we have these hormonal imbalances until we hit one of these stages. The other types of women I think will really enjoy this book are also women with concerns about their thyroid and their adrenals and their sleep, like melatonin is a hormone, insulin with blood sugar is a hormone. And all of these are really important to help us stay healthy, to help have a good metabolism, energy, weight, sleep. All of these things are impacted by our hormones, and they can just start to get off just a little bit. And then that triggers another hormone to get out of balance and another one. So we just need to just realign because our hormones are actually fantastic and they work for us when they're balanced. And we just need to just get that realignment.
So how do you help people let's walk through the book a little bit.
Yeah.
how do you kind of help them assess where they might be out of balance and how to kind of return to balance?
Yeah, in part 1 of Natural Beauty Reset, and the subtitle, by the way, is a 7-day plan to harmonize hormones and restore radiance. So it's all what we're talking about here. So in the first part of the book, it's a lot of understanding how our hormones work, how our neurotransmitters work, and how that plays a role in how we look and feel and how we go through these transitions and how our food plays a role, our diet plays a role in this, toxins in our environment, and our sleep and our ability to get that balance of resting and restoring and then activity. And so the first part is really understanding that, because I always feel that if you don't truly understand how your body is working or how these things affect you, it's harder to make the change, right? Is once you get it, you're like, oh, that's why I need to, that makes sense. Why my hormones might be related to the way I'm eating or the toxins I've been exposed to in my environment. And that's why it makes sense to make a change. And then in part 2, I walk people through each season. So starting with fall, because the book comes out in fall, start with the fall reset. And in a lot of ways, fall is a great time to start a reset, to start something new, because it's a great way to prepare for winter. Winter can be a challenging time for us with our hormones. We can tend to have lower levels of certain neurotransmitters like serotonin and dopamine. And also, we can tend to have higher cortisol that can make us feel more stressed. And also for women trying to get pregnant, estrogen tends to be a little bit lower in the winter compared to spring and summer. So it's a good time. Fall is a good time to sort of transition us to get ready to winter and start making shifts. And fall harvest is also a time when produce is abundant. We could eat so much in season that where we live. And it's a lot easier time to kind of build up to do that. So for each season, I talk about food, movement, mindset, and skincare.
I love it.
Yeah. So, I mean, of course, we know food changes. We've talked about, a lot of people have talked about seasonal eating. And of course, it's not always easy to do this, but is even if you can do a little bit of eating more seasonally and eating more locally, it's going to make a difference, because your foods that you eat, you eat them in season and closer to where you live, they're going to be more nutrient dense. You're going to get more nutrients. And we know there's actually research showing comparison of broccoli and kale and the different produce in season versus out of season, and the big difference in nutrient quality and quantity. And then also, it tastes better. Food in season just tastes better. If you can get it from your local farmer's market, or maybe you can start growing some fresh herbs or whatever you can do, it makes a difference. And then so that's, food. And of course, we have to remember that part of the difference with seasons is the distance of the sun and how the sun changes. In the winter time, we have shorter days, and the summertime, we have longer days. So it impacts our food, but it also impacts our mental emotional state, and it affects our sleep. So mindset and movement are another big parts that I talk about, because certain times of the year we might have more energy, might be feel more motivated. Summertime, a lot of times we want to get outdoors and we want to be more active. So the movement and mindset practices that I have in summer months are different than in fall and winter, and even in spring. And then also skincare. Our skin changes throughout the year and our needs change. We get more sun exposure at certain times of the year than others. We're exposed to dryness, cold, less humidity, more humidity, different times of the year. So that means our skin needs change. So we might need more exfoliation at certain times. We might need, of course, more sunscreen at certain times. We might need more hydration, or we might feel like we're getting too oily or perspiring more at certain times. So then we can adjust our skincare for the season. So for each season, this is a 7-day plan. So I give recommendations for exactly, foods to eat for 7 days. I even have recipes in the book. I have DIY skincare recipes in addition to food. And then I give 7-day examples of movements, 7 examples of mindset practices, and 7 examples of skincare practices so that you can really do this whole reset to each season get back on track.
I really love that. I think I need that book immediately because I just do the same thing year round. I just tend to use more moisturizer in the winter because I'm drier, but that's brilliant.
Right. And I think a lot of times too, people think, oh, I'm healthy. I've got this healthy routine. I exercise this way. I use this natural skincare product. I eat these superfoods, but there's still not something's still not right. Well, part of that is we need to change this up cyclically. And that if we're always eating the same superfoods all the time, it may not actually be that healthy for us. We may end up creating food intolerances or food sensitivities if we eat the same things over and over again. Or we may be getting too many like oxalates. And oxalates, you get too many oxalates, it's been linked to developing like kidney stones or tinnitus in the ears. The ringing in the ears has been linked to getting too many oxalates in the diet. But if you're eating seasonally, you're not going to get too many of things like oxalates, or you're going to be less likely to develop food sensitivities because you're not eating the same thing every day all year long.
No, I love that. How did you go about developing kind of the different seasonal plans? Is that from your practice, your own practices? Well, what? Tell me about that.
Combination of that, I started to really see things with my patients of a lot of these people are super healthy. They would be coming in to see me and they're doing the same things, like I was saying, but something just wasn't right. I said, well, let's mix it up. Let's talk about what are you doing? And what season we're in, what is available for you, how is it working now? And we would set up a plan for that. And then they would come back in and like, okay, well, it's a different season. Let's change this up. And then they realized that it was making a difference. And I noticed it in my own life as well. Now, again, it depends on where in the world you live. Sometimes it's easier to do this and sometimes it's harder. Wintertime can be a tough time if you live in a places like where I live in Park City, Utah, where really there's nothing growing because we're covered in the snow for a good 4 to 6 months. And so we kind of rely upon our neighbors and people where it's not quite so cold to get fresh produce. But still, even if you can make some changes, I think also what happens is we get stuck in these ruts, and it's an opportunity for us to change it up and to remember the seasons of our bodies. I mean, if you think about the female body, throughout the month when we have our periods, which we're ovulating, we're having periods, and we go through these changes. And even after menopause, we still have these cyclical changes. And throughout the day, our cortisol levels change. So we get higher cortisol in the morning to get us up in the morning and lower cortisol at night. At least this is ideally what's supposed to happen. When people get burnout, sometimes it goes flat or it's backwards. And then also melatonin, we have our melatonin increases when the lights go down. So that changes throughout the year. Our melatonin production will change, our sleep patterns change, and even I mean, it's interesting. Light, even during a full moon, it can impact our sleep. So there are all these cyclical changes that can happen that can affect us. And I think we find one thing that works, and we're like, I'm just going to keep doing that over and
Yes.
over again. Yeah.
A lot of rinse and repeat.
Mhm. Yeah. And then we wonder, why isn't it working anymore?
Yeah. Yeah. And it's probably good. Maybe you can speak to this about kind of how the body reacts to variety because I mean, like exercise, if you keep doing the same thing, it doesn't really yield results.
Right, and oftentimes we'll wake up and we'll feel like, I just don't feel motivated to do
Yeah.
that." And we can beat ourselves up about it, but if we understand that different seasons, our hormones change and, like, understanding if your feel-good neurotransmitters like dopamine and serotonin aren't as high, you may not feel motivated to go for a run or go to the gym, and so there are other things you can do to kinda mix it up and still get a good workout. but maybe doing some restorative yoga is what your body needs at that time. And then wait until you feel more of that motivation on a sunnier day. And then when you're, when the weather's better outside, you can get outdoors and do more outdoor activities using, of course, good sun protection hats and things like that. But it's nice to mix up.
So before people rush out to buy your book, which is coming out like this week, right? September?
September 13th.
Amazing. What kind of things are you advising people to do in the fall season? Like what's kind of the highlights?
Yeah, well, so fall produce there's so much available in the fall as far as so many types of greens and apples and so many pears and so many different types of produce. There's a big focus in summer on fruit because we have so much more abundance in that. And then as we shift to fall, we're shifting more to a lot of vegetables because we can get a lot of fresh vegetables. And then as we go to winter, we need to rely a little bit more on dried beans and nuts and seeds, and if you eat animal protein to get you some of those nutrients and things. I mean, of course we still want to eat some vegetables year round, but it changes with the season. So with fall, we get this fall harvest. That's so fantastic. And then we shift away from some of the cooling foods like watermelon and strawberries and things like that to more of the warming foods and winter squashes, and they're starting to become more in season, and yams and things like that that tend to be more warming types of foods and warming herbs and spices. You might want to start getting some cinnamon and nutmeg and ginger and those types of things as we warm up, and teas and food. And then also with skincare, being aware that you may have just had a summer full of a lot of sun and having some hyperpigmentation. A lot of women will develop that. So what can you do with your skincare routine? Kind of even out your skin tone. So a lot of antioxidant rich serums, like we have at the Spa Doctor. We have the Spa Doctor Step 2 antioxidant serum. Part of we That's a big one. Or using a gentle exfoliant too can be good to kind of get your skin rejuvenated after a lot of potential sun damage, and ingredients like aloe that are soothing for the skin. So as we transition from summer to fall, those are some of the things that we think of with skincare. And with movement, we can get outdoors and enjoy the in nature in a different way and movement in a different way. Like if the leaves are falling, then raking leaves is actually a really great exercise. And I think so many people just like have a leaf blower or have somebody blow, but getting out there and enjoying a fall hike, enjoying the leaves changing colors if you live in a place where you get to enjoy that. And things like that, just taking in the changes of the seasons and how that might be helping you. Also, the other thing that you think about in fall is that we want to boost our immune system because we're exposed to more viruses and being indoors more as we go into the winter months. So we want to eat foods that naturally boost our immune system. And what's interesting is a lot of the foods that are abundant in fall are have naturally occurring nutrients that help with our immune system, like vitamin A or beta carotene from things like pumpkin and sweet potatoes and yams and things like that that actually help support our immune system. And so we can, get some of these in nature. And then things like zinc. Zinc is also important for our immune system. So making sure we're getting some nuts and seeds that are rich in zinc can also boost our levels with that.
Amazing. So remind everyone the title of the book and where they can find it.
Yeah, it's Natural Beauty Reset, the 7-day plan to harmonize hormones and restore radiance. And it's available September 13th. But you can pre-order, you can get it at the spadoctor.com/book. That's where you can find all the different we have all the different links, the different places you can buy it. And also we have some bonuses when you go to that page and you give us a copy of your receipt. We have some bonuses for you. And then also because there's so much to learn about hormones, we have the Hormones, Health and Harmony docuseries. Put together a 9-part documentary series that over 50 experts. And I know, Jody, we tried to track you down to interview you for this, but we couldn't get a hold of you. We were only doing these interviews in person, which I know is not an easy thing to do during these times. So, but we interviewed over 50 experts for this, all different aspects of how our hormones work throughout our lives as women. And we talk about estrogen, progesterone, testosterone, thyroid, adrenal, even appetite hormones like leptin, ghrelin. We cover it all. So it's really practical tips. So people can learn about that too at hormoneseries.com. And I'm sure you'll be able to provide these links too.
Yeah, links will be in the show notes. Thank you so much for your time and congratulations on this amazing book. I
Thank
can't
you so
wait
much. Thanks, Jody.
parts. Thank you again. Thank you so much for listening. I hope this podcast empowered you with some useful information and takeaways. If you liked this episode, please consider sharing a positive review or subscribing. I would also love to offer you my free parasympathetic toolkit as a gift just for listening. It will teach you how to activate the most important nerve in your body to turn on your ability to heal. This free toolkit includes a checklist, a video, and a detailed guide. If this podcast prompted any questions, you can always find answers at my blog at vibrantblueoils.com or my book, Essential Oils to Boost the Brain and Heal the Body. Until next time, wishing you vibrant health.